Hi, I'm Hal Elrod, and I'm about to have a productive conversation with the one and only Mike Vardy.
Welcome to A Productive Conversation. I'm Mike Vardy, and this time around, I'm joined by Hal Elrod. This is a conversation I've wanted to have for a while, especially that Hal has updated The Miracle Morning, which is what we dive into, the book The Miracle Morning. Now, he has authored several books, including The Miracle Morning, and the whole series around that he's either authored or co-authored. The Miracle Morning movie we get into, that's something that we dive into right out of the gate. There's lots that we get into, including me as a night owl. How do I do The Miracle Morning as well as other night owls out there? There's a lot that we get into, including the savers, all that stuff. Let's just get into this conversation. It's one I've been wanting to have for a long time. I'm glad Hal made the time to do it. So let's get to it. Here's my conversation, and a productive one at that, with Hal Elrod. Hal, thanks so much for taking the time to join me today here on A Productive Conversation. And I have in my hands two versions of The Miracle Morning. The one that you gave me from back when we were on the GTD panel years ago, where it was me, you, Laura Vanderkam, Craig Jarrow, Daniel Gold interviewed us, and it was like the three early risers and the one night owl. And it was like, so we did that panel, and I have that book still here, where you, and then I have the bright, shiny new one right here. Miracle Morning, the not so obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life before 8 a.m. This is the updated and expanded edition. I'm excited to have you here. And first off, Hal, one thing that I want to say is there's a movie that I think people should check out. And I want you to start there before we go into the book, because that's, I literally watched it last night just to kind of get a sense. Yeah. And I knew your story, but to see it on full display was... It was impactful. So I'd love for you to share that right out of the gate.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think I've ever been asked to share that right out the gate, and I really like that idea. So The Miracle Morning, the book, took off and started selling. At that time, it was hundreds of thousands of copies, and my buddy is a filmmaker, Nick, and he said, hey, we should make a documentary about how this is changing the world one morning at a time. And I was like, great idea. So we start filming this documentary, and we interview a lot of famous authors, and like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule, and Lewis Howes, Brendan Burchard, Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter, who else? On and on and on. And this movie's going great, really fascinating about morning routines and the power of morning routines. And then halfway through it, I'm diagnosed with a rare aggressive form of cancer and given a 20% chance of surviving. And I called Nick and I said, hey, buddy, our director, I said, you're never going to believe this. I'm in the hospital. My organs are failing. They're starting chemotherapy tomorrow. And we got to put the movie on hold. And after we talked for a bit, he said, Hal, no offense, but this is the movie. Like, I need to come film you beating cancer, and we're going to inspire millions of people. The movie was already going to inspire millions of people to wake up early. Now it's going to inspire them by the way you approach this cancer. And he goes, I know you're going to beat it. And I said, let me talk to my wife. That was not part of our healing journey plan. But you'll see, Mike, you saw it, right? You're watching this really cool documentary on morning routines and The Miracle Morning. And then 1 hour in, I'm recording a selfie video for my friends and family saying, hey guys, they don't know what's wrong with me. My organs are failing. They're running tests. Please pray for me. And then the last 30 minutes of the movie is me fighting for my life. And so you guys can if you go to miraclemorning.com, the website, you can watch the movie totally free now. And you could also rent it on, Amazon Prime, but it's free at miraclemorning.com.
And I have to say that the thing, watching it, first off, kudos to the filmmakers for seamlessly putting it together, because as somebody who used to work for a film festival and watch documentaries and we would adjudicate, like the way that it was put together was really well done. Really. So that's a testament to their creativity and their ability to kind of work on the fly, really, in a lot of cases. But also I don't want to spoil the end, but there's something that there's a switch that flipped for you. Like there's a bunch. There's a bunch of stuff in the film as you go through it. And honestly, even when you go through the book, there's stories about that, like why, the transformations that took place, not just for you, but even in the acknowledgments and the movie, like those that have kind of become members of the Miracle Morning community. Like there has been like transformation, but there was something that really resonated with me is that there's two things. I'll start with this one, is that the Miracle Morning kind of philosophy. Let's use that, right? It doesn't just transform your day, but it can also easily shift your perspective on what's really, really important, right?
Yeah.
And that was something that, as a parent myself, as somebody who's pushing 50 now, knowing that we only have a certain amount of time, you got to it's great that you kind of had that come to Jesus moment or whatever, epiphany of what this could do, which I don't think, like, I'd love to hear, like, I don't think that was, it's kind of miraculous, no pun intended, that is what the end game was in a lot of cases, is what your realization was. Again, watch the movie to get the full impact of it. But I mean, when you were putting the Miracle Morning philosophy together, because again, I'm looking at the book that I have, the original, and then the new, like that's got to be gratifying to you to see that it's not just for others, but what it did for you in a way that you wouldn't have expected.
Yeah. It really is surreal. The Miracle Morning is surreal, like every aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
The way it came into be in my own life, it wasn't a book idea. And then I self-published this book. And most books, especially self-published books, that, maybe sell 100 copies, but I just believe so much in the message. I just kept sharing it with as many people as I can. And my goal, this is an interesting, quick story, y'all. When the Miracle Morning came out, I had already, given the early edition of the book to a few dozen people, and they were practicing it and becoming case studies. And they were like, oh my gosh, this changed my life. It saved my marriage. It got me off my depression meds, and I legally probably can't say that, but that's what they said, and on and on and on, these amazing life-changing experiences or results. And so I thought, man, I have a responsibility to share this book with the world. And so my goal year one was I want to change 1 million lives one morning at a time, which actually meant sell 1 million copies of this self-published book. So I did everything in my power. Didn't have kids yet. So I put money on a credit card to get on TV shows that I didn't have. I was on over 150 podcast interviews that I just cold reached out to. I gave 36 speeches at colleges across the country. Like, I did everything to sell 1 million books. And at the end of the year, I was 987,000 copies short of my goal, right? So I sold 13,000 copies, which that's a lot in isolation. But when my mind was like a million, and I'm like, I'm a failure. I failed miserably in that goal. But for me, it was, I don't care how long it takes. I'm committed for as long as it takes to reach 1 million people. And I tried again year 2, and I reached like 20,000, and I tried again year 3, and it took 6 years to finally reach 1 million people. And I want to share that with everybody on this call, because for all of us, there is very little that you are not capable of. You're relatively limitless, right? But very few of us are willing to stick with something for as long as it takes in the face of doubt and failure and rejection. And it doesn't look like it's going to work out. I'm not on track. It's going to take me 100 years to hit that goal at this point. I really believe that there's something magical. And in fact, where is it? Right?
I think
anyway, right there.
You got a lot of them there.
That book right there is called The Miracle Equation.
Yep.
And it's kind of, that's my formula for how you do this. It's unwavering faith and extraordinary effort for as long as it possibly takes until you achieve your goal. And again, there's very little that you can't accomplish. It just takes longer than you thought. And most people give up, far before they're there. And so that to me is the lesson. It took 6 years to sell 1 million copies. Here's the last thing I'll say, Mike. I'll keep this short.
Yeah.
To keep a long story longer. This is one of the greatest lessons I've learned on that journey, is that we all have these ambitious goals and dreams. When you finally get to the point in your life that you've been working so hard for so long, and you've scared of failure, and you're not sure if you're going to get there, but when you finally do, whether it takes you 5 years or 10 years, when you finally get there, you look back and you go, oh, it was supposed to take this long. The timing was perfect. If I hadn't have met that person after year 1 that led to that relationship in year 2, that led to the opportunity in year 3, that in year 5 blossomed, right? It had to happen that way. So unwavering faith and extraordinary effort for whatever it is in your life that you're really committed to, I believe you will create miracles beyond what you may imagine is even possible for you.
So as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about, and we've got some definite questions I want to make sure that I get to in our time together. But the idea of, we hear about consistency all the time, and you touched on that. But I didn't hear the word. I hear unwavering faith, and the effort piece. We don't hear about like how to sustain it, right? We hear about be consistent, but sustaining it. Now you've obviously sustained it over the journey of the last dozen years, really longer, really, when you know, from publication of the original, the one you originally published, plus now to the new updated version. What to you was it? How important was sustainment versus consistency?
Yeah, so there's so in the miracle equation, it says it's unwavering faith plus extraordinary effort until, and the word until is underlined, it's circled, it's highlighted. And I say, that's it. Is that right? It's that sustained effort and consistency. Of course, it's important, but at the same time, I also believe that, you know, in life that, you know, this whole balance idea, there's some merit to it, but it really, I think it's okay to be intentionally imbalanced. Right? Where there are times in life when I've got a book launch, my wife will tell you that unfortunately, my highest priority of my family, sometimes I'm not showing up the way that I want to because I'm like, hey guys, I'm in a season right now and I've got to focus on this, you know, this thing. And I don't get so out of balance that I'm not spending time with my kids every day, right? But I might be, guys, I got to work till 6 tonight instead of 5. Guys, I got to, you know, right? I'm traveling a little more than normal. I got to promote the book, so on and so forth. So the sustained effort to me is one of the most important parts. And it's that adage, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. You know, and the number 10 is arbitrary. It might take you 4, it might take you 12, but it's that sustained effort over a long period of time that enables you to learn what you need to learn to become the person you need to become to ultimately create the life that you want.
All right. So we're going to shift into my territory, which is night owls. So what I loved is, and this is why I want to get into this. We've got some questions about night owls and how they can do this as well. I'm going to take a bit of the reins on this to say that, and I literally posted a TikTok about this today, is that while this is driven towards, you know, early risers, the 6 elements, the savers, plus you also talk about the miracle evening and the miracle life in this too. So those are additional chapters, and we want people to go pick up the book. So we're not going to reveal a ton of stuff in here. You can go pick up the book, and I'm sure we'll talk about links and stuff at the tail end of our conversation here. But for those that are night owls, that are wired that way, and you interviewed Dr. Michael Bruce, who's been on the program before. He was in the movie as well, and Michael and I've had a few conversations over the years. He's a wolf like me. He's, you know, for those night owls out there that are either thinking about, like, they're either going to try to become a morning person, which may not be the best idea. Like, let's be clear. It may not be the best idea to get up at 5 a.m. or what have you. But how can a night owl implement the miracle morning?
I love that question, and it's a really easy answer. You know, the Miracle Morning is not the 5 a.m. club, right? I like Robin Sharma's got the 5 a.m. club, and I love his books. I love Robin's work. But here's one thing that night owls share in common with early risers. We all wake up at some point during the day, right? Whether you wake up at 5 a.m. or 11 a.m., how you start your day is what's important. And the Miracle Morning is about starting every day in a peak physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state so that you can optimize your mental and emotional well-being, your mindset, and you can be at your best every day for yourself, for the people that you love, and the people that you lead. And so whether you do your Miracle Morning at 5 a.m. or 11 a.m., it's inconsequential.
And that's exactly what I was hoping you were going to say, because it's true. I mean, I've seen elements of it work for night owls. And that's the thing. I think the interesting thing, though, is that there is a lot of talk around getting up early. The only way you can be more productive is if you start the day, you know, at 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever. And that's a myth that I think definitely needs to be busted. I have a question here. We're going to go through these quickly. So Zoe, who's a member of Time Crafting Trust Premium, she asks, she believes in morning routines. It tends to put my whole day off if I can't stick to it. So many meetings that I don't want to miss, like this one, for example, being on this call. But then the one right after it kind of interferes with how she likes to go through her morning. So how do you deal with the kind of the abstractions that can show up that might kind of derail your morning from being the way that you want it to be?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, my miracle morning, I start really early. I start on a perfect day. I start at 3:30 a.m. I go to bed at 8:30 p.m. However, I have a wife and kids, so I don't always get my perfect miracle morning. And my miracle morning is extended. I do like an hour. The first 30 minutes is just waking up, brushing teeth, making tea, right? And then I have an hour of a full miracle morning about myself. That's for my self care. Then I have an hour miracle morning that's for my family, where I focus on my family, right? So this isn't a perfect day, right? I'm going to start there.
Yep.
So 3:30 to 4, I'm getting ready. 4 to 5, my miracle morning. 5 to 6, my family miracle morning. 6 to 7, a work miracle morning. Right. And that might just actually be some days that's growth. Like I'm reading books on my business and leadership. Some days I'm like, I got to answer emails, like, right. Or I'm writing the new edition of the Miracle Morning. Like when I was writing this, that hour every morning, and sometimes it would even cut into the family time, I was just writing the book. Right. But it's basically like I can shift to work first thing in the morning before I have emails and calls and all the things coming in. And then 7 a.m. is when I get my kids ready for school with my wife. Right. So that's family time. That's my ideal miracle morning. Well, more often than not, I don't get to bed by 8:30 because I'm with the family or whatever. Right.
And how old are your kids? How old are your kids now? They're how old?
My kids are 4. My daughter's 14. If you met her, you'd think she was 24.
Yeah, like my daughter.
And my son is 11.
So they're starting to shift. Yeah, so they're going to start to shift to that later teenager kind of time, which will be interesting because they won't go to bed till later. That's kind of the way it goes, right?
Yeah, where I've landed with that, I had somebody ask me recently, she said, I'm a morning person, but now my kids are getting older and they want to stay up later. And I deal with this mom guilt where I'm not, I want to go to bed early. And so I've dealt with the dad guilt. And where I've landed is that 5 days a week, my wife likes to stay up late anyway, so she'll put the kids to bed, right? Which it was funny, it works out. You think you want someone just like you, and then you realize, oh wait, I actually want the yin to my yang.
Yeah, my wife's the same. My wife's the earlier person, and I'm the later person.
There you go, right? Yeah. Somebody's got to take care of stuff at night, and somebody's got to take care of stuff in the morning. So, but anyway, so for me, I've gotten over the dad guilt, and I go, I'm going to let my wife, 5 days a week, and then 2 days a week. And I struggle with this sometimes because I'm such a creature of habit that I'll take my sleep vitamins like on a Friday night at 7. I'll go, oh crap, it's Friday. I'm supposed to stay with the kids. So I'm not perfect at this at all. But the point being, that's how I address it is 5 nights a week. I'm in bed early, up early. And then 2 nights a week, I'm trying to stay up a little later with my teenage kids.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when my kids were younger, we had shifts, right? So at 3:30 in the morning, I was on duty till 3:30 in the morning. And then at 3:30 in the morning, I could officially rest, and she could, because that way we would at least get a modicum of sleep because you know what it's like completely. When you have young kids.
I want to finish Zoe's question with a little bit of a little bow on it.
Please do.
And that is, so on the mornings where let's say I don't get to bed till 9:30. So I went to bed an hour later than I wanted to. And so I'm not going to lose sleep. I'm going to sleep the full 7 hours. So I'm now waking up at 4:30. What that means is I just simply have to make some on the fly decisions. Do I want to cut out one of the Miracle Morning pieces, right? Like maybe the family pieces. You know what? I'm going to focus on the family today. Or maybe you go 30 minutes on me, 30 minutes on the family. Or right, so you follow. It's just playing with it, and that's why I do like having that extended runway in the morning. But if I was only had a 1 hour Miracle Morning and I'm going to bed an hour late, I would do a 6-minute Miracle Morning. There's a chapter in the new book called you got it right there, the 6-minute Miracle Morning. And it's not for every day. I like more time than that. But on the days where you are like, I've got almost no time, we can all find 6 minutes.
Yep.
So that's it. It's a really scalable, malleable daily ritual.
And it's one thing that I took away from the book and the movie, and I'm a journaler at night. I love my evening examination. But there was something that when you were talking to UJ and when we were talking about the scribing piece, right?
Yeah.
Where I used to write in the morning, and I'm going to get back to that a bit, as well as my evening, simply because I set the tone the night before. That's how I begin my day before bed. But then, and you talk about this in the chapter about the miracle evening as well, but there's something about being a groggy night owl in the morning that I need to prime the pump a little bit, right? Which is something that I didn't think I would need. What is something, and this will be kind of the last question before we wrap up, what is, out of all the savers or all of the elements what is the one thing that you've found that is the non-negotiable for you? Like, it's like, this is the one that I can't miss, I can't skip, or I give the little bit of extra time to, even when I only have 6 minutes.
I think for me, it's silence. And what I do now, it's funny. I'm going to tell y'all something that I don't remember. I was talking to my wife yesterday. I don't remember if I addressed this in the new book or not. But because in the original book, I was like, do not snooze. The snooze button is terrible. And in the new book, I think I gave a little bit of more flexibility. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I did, because what I'll do is I'll have caffeine. I like this little trick sometimes where I'll have some caffeine by my bed, either green tea, or this is a organic MCT coffee it's organic, but it's pre-made powder, and you can put it with room temperature water. So I'll put it in the night before, and then when the alarm goes off, sometimes I don't get off on the first one. I'll actually reach over and I'll have a little bit of caffeine, and then I'll snooze, and then 9 minutes later, boy, am I popping out of bed.
Yeah, caffeine nap style.
So
yep.
I'm a lot less militant over myself as I used to be, but yeah. So the non-negotiable for me is silence, and sometimes the silence is actually I'll lay in bed and I'll meditate and pray. So I'll hit that snooze button, but then I won't go back to sleep. I'll just sit there and I'll just stretch, and I literally, it's my heaven on earth. I'm literally in bliss. I'm like, oh, I'm so safe in this bed. God, I'm so grateful for this day, for my life, for my wife. And I'll reach over and I'll, touch my wife and feel love for her. And, it's just a beautiful way to start the day. So all my silence will be done before I even go into the living room. And then I'll go right into my affirmations or one of the other savers.
And I think you can get away with the first 3 in bed if you really want to. I know that.
You totally can. You totally can.
Exercise, not some. Well, actually, I know that DDP yoga has the yoga that you can do in the bed where you're just lying in the bed. You could get away with exercise, but probably
now, if you've
not.
got a spouse next to you, I don't know how good your exercise would be if you're not going to wake them up. Yeah.
Hal, this has been great. Where can people pick up the new and updated version of the Miracle Morning, the updated and expanded edition? Where can people pick this up, and where can they keep up with you and your work?
The new edition is available both in Canada on Amazon, the Amazon Canada website, and in America. So you can buy the book anywhere books are sold. So it's on, Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, all of those, at least in America. In Canada, I know it's Amazon. I'm not sure of all the other retailers, but I'd imagine it's all of them. And then miraclemorning.com, y'all, that is the place to go. You can watch the movie. You can download the Miracle Morning app, which has 2,000 reviews, 4.9 out of 5 stars in the App Store and the Google Play Store. People are loving the app, and there is a free version with a ton of robust features. And then there's a subscription if you want to get access to hundreds of guided savers tracks where you push play and it leads you through an entire Miracle Morning in hundreds of different ways. So check that out. The movie, the community, the books, everything's at miraclemorning.com.
And what about the UK? We got a couple of UK folks. Is the book available in the UK yet?
Yes, it is actually. So UK, Canada, America, Australia, and then it'll be rolled out in Brazil and most other countries soon. But no, luckily right now it's in UK, Canada, and America.
Awesome. Hey, Hal, thanks so much for taking the time to have a productive conversation with me today.
I appreciate you, Mike. Thanks for having me again, buddy.
Big thanks to Hal for joining me on the program. You can check out all of the relevant links, show notes, helpful stuff at productivityist.com/podcast 512. And while you were checking it out there, go to check out our sponsors, the sponsors you heard during today's episode. Just go to productivityist.com/podcast sponsors to check out those sponsors, and then click on links there. That way they know that we sent you to them. Another way to support the show beyond checking out our sponsors is to subscribe to the show. So wherever you get your podcasts, hit the subscribe button, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, even YouTube. And that way you don't miss a single episode of what's to come and can easily search through the archives to check out the cornucopia of guests we've had in the over 500 episodes of A Productive Conversation. And speaking of productive conversations, this one has come to a close. Until next time, I'm Mike Vardy, the host of A Productive Conversation, reminding you to stop doing productive and start being productive. See you later.